Welcome back to another team preview. Today, we're looking at Team Penske. I'm Casey Campbell. That's Nathan Solomon from the Podium Finish and also TPF Live. How's it going?
It's going. A little change of scenery and back at school. Definitely got a lot more stuff to juggle now that we're back.
Too.
I know. It's a little short, but a little shorter than I had anticipated, but it's all right. It'll grow back.
Nice. That's what hair typically does. But today we're going to be talking about Team Penske. There's a lot of changes over at Team Penske this year. The biggest one is no Brad, and they're not running an Xfinity program.
I know it's gonna be an entirely different look over there. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that that Joey Logano is a veteran over there now. I mean, it just feels like just yesterday he just got signed there from Gibbs.
So let's talk. You know what? Let's start with Joey Logano. Of course, he's entering. I think I was told this the other day. He is in his 10th season at Team Penske in the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. Of course, working with Paul Wolf, of course, his crew chief for the last several years. Joey Logano kind of, he got a win, but just kind of wasn't there. I mean, he was, but at the end of the season,
wasn't a great year for him. I mean, he kind of had a little bit of consistency. I mean, him and Blaine really were the two consistent Penske cars, if we're to include Wood Brothers kind of into this conversation. I mean, Joey Logano, he was kind of, I don't know, 10th, 12th, 8th consistent, but I mean, he only won one win. It was a Bristol dirt race, so that may have been one of the biggest wild cards of the year. I mean, like, what was it? Larson and Christopher Bell took each other out. Those are the two favorites there. Stuart Friesen wasn't in a competitive enough car to really contend for that. Like, I mean, I don't know. You can't even build off of that, really. Like, it's just such a wild car, and there's so many unknowns. The track conditions were all screwy because of the weather, and but anyway, that besides the point. But he didn't win an asphalt race all year. He didn't, of the 35, asphalt races, he didn't win any of them. So. Definitely a disappointing year from him last year, but but that kind of goes for Ford as a whole. I think that kind of coming back with this next gen car, Ford will be a lot more competitive, and that goes the same as Stuart Haas, kind of what we were talking about the other day. I think they'll be a lot more competitive this year, and Joey Logano, he's a championship winner. I fully expect that he'll be back. He'll be back in victory lane. I kind of put him around 3 to 4 wins for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned Ryan Blaine. Let's discuss him for a little bit too. Ryan Blaine had a really good year. I think this 2021 first year with multiple wins, of course, coming at, they got that early win in Atlanta, then won at Michigan, and then won at Daytona. And then really just, this was probably the best year for the 12 team so far. But before we get into this year, what do you think was the biggest factor for Ryan Blaine to have his best year?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it just comes down to his talent. I mean, I think it was a completely unexpected year for Blaine as a whole. Like you mentioned, coming into this year, he never won more than once in the season. And then with Ford struggles, as a manufacturer in the parts freeze and everything, all of a sudden he's the only, if I'm not mistaken, I think, he's the only Ford driver that won multiple times. So that kind of surprised everybody. He won 3 times, and he won 2 of them were on 550 tracks where Fords were really lost. I mean, Fords were they're competitive on 750s, but I mean on the 550s they were really bad. And 2 of his 3 wins came on the 550s. So I mean, I think that's kind of scary for the rest of the NASCAR competition. I mean, with how bad Ford was last year, and him still being able to manage 3 wins. I mean, I think that says hey, in this new car, when I guess the playing field is kind of leveled between all 3 manufacturers. I mean, Ryan Blaney is dangerous this year. He's really dangerous.
So let's talk about this year with Ryan Blaney. The biggest change is he'll have a new crew chief on the box. Jonathan Hassler comes over from the 21 team to be the crew chief for Ryan Blaney. Of course, Todd Gordon announced that he was going to retire, and now he's a host on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. So what is going to be this year? we've seen crew chief and driver pairings work out. We've seen kind of him turn around bring in some good results to the 21 team last year. But what's it going to be like this year with him and Ryan Blaney together?
Honestly, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has a little bit of those two have a little bit of experience working together, maybe on the Xfinity side. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. I mean, Blaney's coming off his best season again. Ford was not, as a manufacturer, they're not good. So everything else is the same basically, besides the crew chief. So they stick in the crew chief, and I don't think it changes a whole lot. I think that Blaney's going to be in a position where I think he has a really good chance to make his first championship Ford this year. He could have done it last year, and he was really the only Ford deserving to be in that championship for. But now's his year. He's starting to kind of get into that prime of his career. I think this is his 6th full-time season.
Yeah.
I think. Trying to do quick math here. So now's his opportunity. So
Actually, 7th.
7th. Wow.
2016 was his first year. Then 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, now 22. He's entering into 7th full
time. And that was after some part-time stuff too. So that's his opportunity. He's in the prime of his career, with the shaven beard, the shaven mustache. He looks like he's about 16 again. But no, this is his opportunity. I think this is the year where he needs to break through and make it to the championship for.
I like the new look that Ryan Blaney has. I like your new look too. That looked good. Yeah. Well, it'll grow back. Don't worry.
I'm not complaining.
No, I wasn't saying that. Austin Cindric, of course, now is a full-time Cup Series driver in the 2 car. Yes, of course, as we know, Brad Keselowski has moved on from Team Penske. He is now, of course, with now what is called Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, with Jack Roush. So Austin Cindric is in the 2. Jeremy Bones is his crew chief. What are we expecting from that 2 team? What are we expecting from Austin Cindric? Because we know how talented he was in the Xfinity Series. Now he's a full-time Cup Series driver. And yes, he was in some Cup races in 2021. This is a full-time season.
I think Cindric's one of the most full-time Cup Series ready drivers from the Xfinity Series that we've kind of seen in a while. I mean, he ran 7 races last year, and if I'm not mistaken, in every race he was really competitive. I mean, he was kind of in the mix for the Daytona 500, really. I mean, I know he got caught up in that last lap crash, but he's in the mix there. He led some laps on road courses. I know he led laps on Road America for sure. So just with his road course racing and IMSA background, I mean, with six road course races this season and in a new car that kind of handles a little bit more like a road course racing car, I mean, I think that's a really good combination for Cindric. So I mean, I think he can be I think he can win a race in his rookie year for sure. I mean, I think Cindric's going to make. I think he's going to make the playoffs. I don't really expect him to do a whole lot in the playoffs. I mean, I don't really see how it could be a championship contender, but I could see him easily, making the playoffs, maybe making the round of 12. And I expect him to win a race. I really think he will. I think a place like Watkins Glen that he's obviously he won on the Xfinity side in 2018, or a place like Road America or Indianapolis Road Course, a place that he has a little bit more experience at compared to maybe some of these other Cup Series drivers. That can be a place where he breaks through and goes to victory lane, or of course a wild card like a super speedway race.
Don't forget Coda too.
Of course.
Yeah. A lot of road course guys are pretty good at that place. So we've talked about Team Penske. There's another kind of alliance team. We're going to kind of combine Penske along with the Wood brothers. There's some changes there too. Of course, Harrison Burton comes over from the Toyota camp to the Ford camp and running in the number 21, for the Wood brothers. Of course, Brian Wilson, who was Austin Cindric's crew chief in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, is going to be the crew chief for the 21 team in the Cup Series. When this was announced, I think a lot of people were surprised about this. But then again, are we?
I am a little bit. I mean, I don't think Harrison Burton I don't think he had the most. He certainly didn't have the most stellar Xfinity Series season here in 2021. Like, he was pretty good as a rookie in 2020, won 4 races, kind of peaked later in the year, which is encouraging. But I mean, he was winless this year, and to me, that's kind of concerning for a guy who's, getting called up to run top tier equipment. I mean, if if Harrison came out and won 5 times this year, I wouldn't be quite as worried about it. But he hasn't won since the end of 2020, and I think he has a lot of talent, but I'm just not sure he's Cup Series ready yet. I think he's kind of he's kind of rushed a little bit. Obviously, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't take this opportunity, to leave Toyota and go to Ford if a seat like that is available. So I mean, I think it's a good move for him, and I think a move anyone would take. But I'm just not sure, in terms of the experience and just his I guess his level of ability. I just don't quite think he's Cup Series ready, but maybe a couple learning years here in the 21 that can kind of get him to where he needs to be really competitive here in the future.
Well, remember, he went winless in the Truck Series in 19, and he went on to win multiple races in 2020 in the Xfinity Series. So
Yeah, but it's still just it's jumping from Xfinity to Cup is a much bigger jump than Truck to Xfinity, and also the equipment level is a lot different as well.
but kind of remember, everyone's on this level playing field with this next gen car too.
True, but there's still, I mean, the most talented race car drivers in the world are in the Cup Series for a reason. So,
all right, so let's talk about Team Penske as a whole. What do you think about how they're going to do this year?
I'm gonna say my overall guess is I'm gonna say leaning on I guess a little bit of the optimistic side. All three are gonna be in the round of 12. Blaine and Logano, round of 8, and then one of those two have to make the championship 4. I think. I mean, I think as an organization, I think that they can win 8 races. I think at least kind of they can be in the 8 to 10 race win range. I mean, I think I kind of expect 3 or 4 out of Logano, at least 3 or 4 to Blaine, and maybe Centric steals one too, or so that's my guess. They got to get back to the championship 4 though. That's what I think.
Absolutely, yeah. That's they're going to get back to the championship 4. I think there's going to be at least one car in the championship 4.
And that's the other thing too that I have to mention is, kind of your powerhouse 4-car teams. I mean, including Penske is a 4-car team, including the Wood brothers. Ford is the only manufacturer that's 2 of them.
Right.
Chevy's got Hendrick, Toyota's got JGR. So that's why it's extremely important that I think that that Penske gets a car into the championship 4 just to be able to compete with those other 3 big organizations.
And remember, Ford did not get into the championship 4 last year.
Correct.
So yeah, it's not just a big year for Team Penske, but it's a big year for the Blue Oval as well. So it's a lot to prove from our friends at the Blue Oval. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this team preview. Stay tuned for more because we got more coming up.